Okay, for chapter 4, we're going to talk about balancing checkbooks and the reconciliation process. And there really isn't any way to discuss it other than actually just going in and showing you some examples. So this is your Connect homework. I'm looking at it from the instructor view, so you're going to be able to see the answers. Your numbers on your homework will probably be a little bit different. So what we're going to do here, it says fill out the check register. This is, I believe, number 1. Yep, this is question number 1 in your homework. It says fill out the check register that follows with this information. We're going to enter the answers in the order given. So in other words, we're going to start with this line here where my cursor is, and we're just going to keep working line by line down. And anything that's going to be subtracted from our bank account, negative amounts, should be have a minus sign in front of them. So we're going to start here. July 7th, check number 482 was written. So you put all your check numbers here. So I'm going to put check 482 here. The date of July 7th, that's going to be a drop-down menu. You just make sure you pick the correct date. This is going to be for AOL. So you're going to make sure you pick the correct drop-down option. And then because this is a payment to AOL, this is going to go in the payment column as $198.80. And then if you scroll over here, because we're subtracting it from our balance, I got to put a minus in front of it. So I'm going to take my balance, and then I'm going to subtract $198.80 to get the new balance. And then what I'm going to do is going to go to the next line. On July 15th, I have check number 483. So I put that in here. I put July 15th here. That's going to go to Staples. So I make sure I click the correct drop-down menu there. And that's going to be for $62. So I put that there in the payment or debit column. And then because this is going to be withdrawn, it's a check, so it's going to come out of our bank account, I have to put a minus sign in there. And then I subtract the 62 to come up with my new balance right here. Okay, next one is the deposit. So that's not going to go in the payment or debit column. That's going to go in the credit column. That's done on July 19th. So that does not have a check number because it's a deposit. So I just click July 19th here. I choose deposit in my drop-down menu, and I make sure I put it in the deposit column. Now, because I'm adding this into my bank account, I do not need to put a minus in front of it. So now I'm going to take the 4734.20 and add it to the 1265 to get my new balance. And I'm just going to continue this process until I reach my new balance here. Just be very careful and make sure you double check everything on your calculator. Since there's a lot of calculations here, it's easy to be off by a couple cents if you hit a wrong button on your calculator. So just take your time. Now in this particular problem, it specifically tells you to make sure you put a minus sign in front of anything that you're pulling out of your bank account. Other problems aren't like that, so just make sure you read the question carefully. Okay, let's go on to question number 2. And question number 2 is very similar to 1, but it's a little bit of a different format. Now this one says leave no cells blank, so if there's a 0 balance or you're not adding anything in, just make sure you put in a 0. And you want to make sure you round everything to 2 decimal places. It doesn't say anything about making sure I put a negative in front of things that I'm withdrawing, so I don't have to worry about that here. So this question is talking about having a balance of $10,483.40. So I have to keep in mind that this right here is my balance. Okay, now the first part says on November 8th, 2013, there was a deposit made. So I make sure I choose the correct date. It's another drop-down menu. Choose the correct date. Okay, and then let's see. Here's my balance that I had from up here. There's my deposit, right? $783.60. And when I add it together, I get my total. And then this check says, let's see, on November 8th, a check of number 190 payable to Staples for office supplies. Here's the check amount. So that's going to go here. Amount for this check, that's going to go right here. And then because that's coming out of my account, I want to make sure I subtract that from my total. So here's my new balance. Then when I go to November 15th, we're going to write another check. So this balance here from the previous check gets carried over as my new balance right here. This check is for Best Buy for computer equipment. It's on November 15th, so I make sure I choose all the correct drop-down options. This says Best Buy, so I want to make sure I choose Best Buy here. This is for computer equipment. Now, under these circumstances, it doesn't say anything about depositing any money. So when I carry over my new bank account, there is no additional deposit. So I just put 0 in there. Here's my new balance. It doesn't change because I didn't make any deposit. And then I write in my amount for this check. This check is $3,861.19. That goes here. And now because that's a check and it's coming out of my bank account, I have to take the $10,449.42 and subtract my check amount to get my final balance. Okay, let's look at number 3. For number 3, here is a check register. This right here is a personal check register. And then this is the bank statement. So what we have to do is we have to reconcile our balance, which means we want to make sure that everything's adding up properly. There may be times where I write a check, but the bank hasn't seen it yet, so it hasn't been withdrawn from my account, so things aren't lining up. Or the other way around, the bank might have had some kind of deposit put in there, but I haven't seen it yet, so it's not on my register, so maybe our balances aren't matching up, and that's what I want to do here. I want to make sure everything's in the right place. So, Lee.com, that's the company. Okay, this side on the left, sorry about that. This side on the left has all the information about Lee's checkbook balance. This side on the right has all information about the bank. I want to end up with the same balance here and here. If I don't, something is wrong. So basically, under Lee.com checkbook balance, I want to put in anything in here that I haven't seen on my register that's in the bank statement. And on this side, I want to put anything that's on the checkbook register that I haven't seen here. So we're wanting to make sure that everything is balanced. So if I look, let's see, on the bank statement here, there's a service charge. That's what the SC stands for, service charge. That's on the bank statement. I do not see that on Lee.com checkbook register. So they have no idea that they had a service charge yet. So I need to make sure that I add this in. Since it's already on the bank statement, I have to make sure I add this in on Lee.com side here. So I choose the appropriate option, service charge, and I make sure I put in the $14.50. Here's my checkbook balance for Lee.com. I want to make sure that's matched up. And now, if I deduct that service charge, here's my new balance. On the bank side, I notice that there's some things missing that's in my Lee.com checkbook register, but not on the bank statement. So, let's see. There's a deposit here for $1,195, but we have that here, so that's good. We do have a deposit here of $469.90, but that is not showing up on the bank statement. So there's something that we have to reconcile. I have made a deposit, but the bank has not processed it yet. So I'm going to put in here, choose the drop-down menu, deposit in transit, and I'm going to make sure that I add $469.90 in there. Now here's the bank balance, so I want to make sure that I add that in here. Outstanding checks. Checks that I've written, but the bank hasn't seen yet. So let's see. There's a check for $159. The bank has seen that, so I'm good there. There's a check for $75 from Staples. I don't see that here anywhere, so I have to make sure I keep that in mind. There's a check for $473.88 that also is not showing up here under checks. $370.94, that check is showing up here, so we're good. So this check $75 and this check $473.88 is not showing up on the bank statement yet. So I need to make sure that I include those as outstanding checks. So I'm going to total those up for a total of $548.88, and I'm going to deduct that. That's a deduction, so I want to make sure I put that under here as outstanding checks. I put that here, and then I settle my balance. This is my original balance on the bank statement here, right here. Deposits should be added. This is deposits that the bank hasn't seen yet. This is checks that the bank hasn't seen yet. So this is going to be a withdrawal. So I'm going to take this amount, add this, subtract this to get $5,275.68. When these two items match up, I know I'm good and I'm done. All right, let's try the next one. Okay, it says the World Bank forecasts growth of world trade to be 6.2% in 2012, down from 15.30% in 2010. This has caused change in Peru Apple Blossom's florist to analyze its current financial situation, beginning with reconcile its accounts. Apple Blossom received its bank statement showing a balance of $8,551.70. So they're saying this is the bank statement. So this should go right here, the bank balance right here. Okay, now the Apple Blossom Company checkbook balance is this. So that should go here. Deposits in transit, those are deposits that the company has made, but the bank hasn't processed yet. So Apple Blossom has that in their checkbook, but the bank does not have that on the statement. So I need to add those up and put that in deposits in transit on the bank side, since the bank doesn't have that yet. So I add those up and get $11,476 and choose deposits in transit. Service charge of $140. That goes on Apple Blossom sides. Any fees or interest goes on Apple Blossom checkbook balance. So since that's a deduction, I have to put the service charge here. And I put $140 here for the service charge. They earned interest of $7.70. That's an addition. They get that interest that's added to their account. So that goes under here. I choose interest earned, $7.70. Notes collected, that's also an addition. So that's going to go here. Notes collected. It doesn't matter the order that you put them in, just to make sure it lines up here. If I put interest earned here, then this should be $7.70. Then I total those up and I put those down here. Okay, so this is my beginning balance. This is an addition, so I have to add it to get the $17,000. The service charge is a subtraction because that's coming out of our bank account, and then here is our balance. Okay, now we've already considered the deposits in transit. So now we just have to look at the outstanding checks. The outstanding checks always go on the bank side. Those are checks that the person has written or the company has written, but the bank hasn't processed them yet. So the bank hasn't seen them yet, so it's got to go on the bank side. So we're going to add up our outstanding checks. Be careful not to confuse the check number with the amount. This is the amount of the check, and this is the amount of the check. I total that up to put that under outstanding checks, and that goes under here. Outstanding checks are going to be withdrawn. That's money that's coming out of the account. So when I add that up, I want to make sure that this comes out as a minus to give me a final balance of $17,415.70. When these come out the same, I know I've got it right.